and welcome back to yet another episode of Blonde
Brunette
and Confused.
I'm Bella, the blonde one.
I'm Lauren, the brunette one.
And I'm Hannah, the confused one. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. All of our episodes this summer have been pre-recorded. So you might be listening to this in the summer, but we're actually recording the weekend before finals week. With that in mind, as our freshman year comes to a close, we really wanted to reflect on the crazy year we've had and share some of the fun memories we've made along the way. I know Bella has a funny story that happened right after we moved in. Do you want to talk about it?
You've heard a little tidbits about the crazy room next door, but in the very beginning, we actually didn't know that they were crazy. Our first taste of what they were going to be like was when Lauren and I were in our room hanging out with our RA. He was talking to us about something, and he was hidden from sight of the open door, and a member of that room walks in and starts talking to us, not knowing that the RA is there. And so he's trying to strike up conversation and decides to ask if the two of us smoke any weed. And the face on our RA, if you could have seen it, he just turns around, looks the guy dead in the eyes, and his face falls. Lauren, do you remember?
Yes, it was so funny. I don't even know. I just looked at his face and I'm like, bro,
You messed
up. The look he gave him was just like, well, I'm going to be looking out for you now.
Yeah, and as soon as the guy saw our RA, he just turned around
and left.
Walked out of the door.
Without even saying anything else, not sorry, or he just left.
And since then, I think that first encounter has been very telling of our experience with that room because we live next door to them, so we've had to deal with blasting music. My wall vibrates. I don't know if you all understand this. I have little metal picture frames, and they literally vibrate when they play music too loud.
One time when they were being too loud, they had this whiteboard up on their door. I decided to walk out to their room and write on the whiteboard to turn down the music, bang on the door, and then leave. And then shortly after, the whiteboard was gone.
Yeah, and they used to, in the very beginning, they used to definitely stink our hall up of weed smell, but then they got in trouble a couple times. They got a little smarter.
A little bit.
Just a little. There's also a SoundCloud rapper in that room, and one day we opened Snapchat to see that he had written in Sharpie on their dorm wall ideas for rap song titles. So that room has definitely spiced up our freshman year.
They're probably going to be charged so much money just because of this little Sharpie on the wall.
Yeah, to repaint the entire
They could have used that whiteboard that they took down to, think of some ideas, you know?
Our freshman year also had a lot of firsts. So, for example, our very first mixer or party that we all went together, it was the weekend before school started, if I'm remembering that correctly. I don't know if you ladies have any fun memories from that night. I just know that I remember you two walking into the room and being like, we got invited to a mixer. And it was for a club, and I was like, is this an intro meeting? What's, because I had never heard the term mixer before. And so I was going in not really knowing what to expect, and then I got there and I was like, oh, okay, this is not an intro club interest meeting. Good to know.
I remember it being outside. I remember the three of us standing together in a little huddle and on the lawn for most of the time, and then we went downstairs for a brief second, and then we just were outside and we didn't really know what to do. But then Jenna and Morgan would come over and say hi to us sometimes and would try to make us feel better and more comfortable, but it was an interesting first time.
Yeah, so Jenna and Morgan are the two girls in the club that really took us under their wings, and hopefully you all can find someone like that that's an upperclassman that can really take care of you like they took care of us.
Definitely my favorite thing of that night was at one point Jenna was like, oh guys, I want to introduce you to the rest of the e-board of my club. And we were like, okay, cool. And she goes, this is Bella, Lauren, and Hannah. I birthed them.
I think it's more funny because we met her a couple days before that, so
yeah,
I don't know.
It definitely made the transition into all the craziness of college, at least for me, a little easier because it's this person that's breaking the ice for you. For me, I'm awful at small talk and getting the courage to go up to new people, so she really helped with that. So, Jenna, if you're listening, we love you, Mom. Another really funny thing that happened is every October, Halloween time, they challenge all of the dorm houses to decorate their building for Halloween. And of course, our building had nothing planned. And so our guy friends For some reason, throughout the semester, they decided to hoard toilet paper, also chopsticks.
Yeah, so John, you've heard of him before, but he, every single time we got Chinese food, which we have a Chinese food bar at our school, so that was a lot. There's chopsticks right next to it so that you can take for the food. And every single time he took every single chopstick that was in that bin and just like put them in his pocket and like went to his room. So he had like 300 pairs of chopsticks. And then for toilet paper, they just thought it'd be funny to make a tower. So it was pretty much as tall as me at one point. I'm 5'3".
So literally all we did for decorating was we just took those rolls of toilet paper and TP'd our lounge. And then our RA made fake lines of cocaine and fake piles of weed with salt and spices, which was hilarious.
It was essentially, since the RAs, the like other RAs and the RDs are who are judging the different decorations, it was basically supposed to be like their nightmare, like a dorm gone wild. The name of our dorm is Utrecht, so we called it U-Trap. It's like a trap house.
Yeah, it was very funny. There was trash bags over the doors to like be like a curtain to open into it, and then John stood at the front being a security guard, and everyone had to check in with him before they went in.
Suit on.
Yeah,
it was so, for such a last-ditch effort, we low-key went hard, but we did not win, but we won in our hearts.
Yeah, it was so fun. And then afterwards, with all the toilet paper, we wrapped up our RA Liz.
Mm-hmm.
We have some very funny videos of that, and she just had to like break free eventually. It was just a giant wrap.
Also that night, we had a, out of toilet paper rolls, we made a stripper pole in the corner of the room and took someone's corset and put it on top of it, and we had high heels there, and it was very interesting.
But these are the kind of shenanigans that you get into. Another weird habit that we got into was counting the insane amount of Jeeps that happen to be on campus, and every single time we see a Jeep, we just go, Jeep. Because there's so many. Y'all
Literally.
don't even know.
I don't even know if it's just Hofstra or like all college kids like love Jeeps. So many people have the same vehicle as you.
So reach out to us on any of our social medias and let us know, do you have Jeeps at your college campus? Because
Or do you own a Jeep?
do you own a Jeep? Are you adding to the Jeep college population?
Please count Jeeps for us. We very seriously, before deciding to do this podcast, we're going to start an Instagram where we just post all the Jeeps we see at Hofstra. Because our school has its own Jeeps too.
Yeah.
The Hofstra Jeeps.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we never did it. We just discussed it a lot.
Yeah, I think the most we've seen in one parking lot, just have seen, not even counted in the whole parking lot, was 6 or 7. Another thing that happens every semester is finals. And we've found, and I'm sure this is the same for every kid, that finals fries your brain to the point where you start doing things deliriously that you probably wouldn't on a normal day. One day we just decided to make putty.
Yes,
Yeah.
for my birthday, Lauren and Bella got me like a putty kit. So at the end of the first semester, we hadn't used it yet. So we all made putty. Mine is still in my desk.
Mine is still in mine too.
Another thing is that a couple days ago, Bella found a muffin mix, a blueberry muffin mix that her friend sent her, and little rubber muffin tins that are little pants, so it's like a muffin top when it comes up. So it was a little sketch because you put it into a bowl and you just add water and then you bake it, and so we were mixing it up. It looked kind of just like gross, like pancake water or something.
I think the biggest problem is that we had no measuring cups, no whisk. We were literally using a bowl, a spoon, and eyesight. So we weren't starting off on the best terms. But.
Yeah, and then we used the oven that's in our building, and then once we like took it out, first of all, they were slightly underbaked, and they were in there for much longer than they were supposed to be. And they didn't taste great. They were...
Didn't you still try to feed them to the guys? Because I got the text that said muffins.
That was
in Massachusetts.
That was before the muffins were baked. We wanted them to join us in our adventure of baking them, but nobody wanted.
John and Seth came down and tried one bite of it. John liked them for some reason, and Seth and the rest of us were like,
John doesn't get a lot of sleep, so delirium.
True.
And then immediately after that, we were packing up, and we were going through these drawers that I basically never look in, and we found my hammock. And initially we really wanted to try putting it up in the room, but because all the objects in there are easily movable, it wasn't going to really work when you actually put body weight in the hammock.
Yeah.
So we decided to put it up between 2 doors. And it worked. It worked, and we got in it. And then we had our RA come, and he got really sketched out.
But he got in the hammock, and he enjoyed it too.
2 RAs were actually doing rounds when I was mixing the muffin batter, and they told me that finals, even despite all of the stress and the craziness, gets you to do all of these fun different things, and that's really what college is all about, and it's going to end up being some of your best memories. And I think that's really true for us, that even in the heat of all of the stress and the craziness, you find these times to be fun, and that's what you're going to carry with you.
Yeah. A story that I recall that was extremely funny, and I literally told every single person, was last semester, my WSE, or writing, professor, he was a very interesting man. He was very eccentric while also being like 80 years old. He was really funny, but there was one moment that all of us were like, wow, this guy's insane. He was in the middle of talking about an article or of some sort that we were discussing, and he just like stopped what he was doing, and then he said, crocodile, alligator, who speaks Spanish? And all of us were like, what are you talking about? And he's just like, who speaks Spanish? Then someone answered saying, I don't speak Spanish, but I speak French. And he's just like, no, I need someone who speaks Spanish. Spanish sounds so much better than French. And someone's just like, I can speak a little Spanish. And he just like makes them say crocodile and alligator in Spanish. And they're just like, why are you doing this? And he's just like, oh, it just sounds pretty. And we're like, okay, back to the article. It was just a moment where he completely blanked out. Like, he just stopped everything he was doing and needed to hear crocodile and alligator in Spanish, because that was what was needed in that moment.
You definitely meet so many interesting professors. Like, you also had that professor that didn't turn around, right?
Yes. Also, last semester, I had my math professor. He was a small, little old man. He was an okay teacher. He didn't really teach us very much. He just kind of like wrote things on the board and then was just like, here you go. He didn't like explain it at all. But the main thing was that he walked into the room, put his stuff down, and started writing on the board and never turned around. The entire semester, he never turned around. He just kept writing on the board. And sometimes he would say things, but he would be like speaking to the board. So like we couldn't hear what he was saying, but he just kept writing and writing and writing and like doing problems or something that we couldn't hear what he was saying. I barely know what his face looks like. It's so weird.
One funny thing that's happened multiple times throughout this year is that at like 9 p.m. I will get a text from Bella saying, I'm on a train into the city. I'll be back at like 12. And then I would just be like, why? Where are you going? Who are you with? And she'd just be like, oh, I'm by myself. I'm going to see a concert. And I'd be like, cool, how are you getting back?
Yeah.
So then she would try and convince my boyfriend Mike and I that she could take an Uber back from the train station at like 12 o'clock, 1 in the morning. Mike and I would harass Bella to tell us what time she would be back and at what station until she told us so that we could go get her. So there's been several occasions where it's just me half asleep waiting in like the Hempstead train station or Mineola for Bella to get off her train.
So I love my besties for always taking care of me. But yeah, sometimes I would just learn that someone I liked was coming and that tickets had dropped the day of, and I was like, I'm sending it. I'm just gonna go for it. So there was multiple times where I was debating, and then I realized I have to choose right now or else I'm gonna miss the train and miss the concert, and then I just went for it. But next semester we're definitely gonna learn and grow and plan ahead and invite friends. I also had pink hair for a moment here, so I think I've definitely just gotten through my phase.
So this past semester in my writing studies class, I had this class where we were learning about making websites and different things, and we could do it about any discourse community we wanted. And I was like, what's a community I feel strongly about that I am in and I could do a whole assignment on? And I had no idea. So I texted my friend Samantha, who's like pretty much my sister, and I was like, Sammy, I don't know what to do. What do I like? What am I involved in? And Sammy was like, Hannah, you like The Sims. Do a website on The Sims. So I did one of my biggest projects for my class on The Sims, And I was like peer reviewing with other kids, and they're just like, oh, I'm from Haiti, that's my discourse community. I'm a pre-med student, and mine was just The Sims. So like everyone else's was really like in depth and stuff, and like these cool serious topics, and I was like, I like The Sims. Here's some Simmers I like.
But why not? You're paying for it, go for it.
I
right?
know, honestly, because that was one thing that I definitely found. Like the teacher did not grade me differently based on the fact that I did like a really fun discourse community. It's like obviously when you're doing more open-ended assignments, I've definitely learned that you can just like really have fun with it.
Or like in my entrepreneurship class, you have to pitch and create a business idea. And this group of guys, no joke, they just had an idea about helping people grow weed. And we're in New York, which is a state where weed is not legal, but my professor did not care. They ended up pitching in the final competition. I also just took a class about drag, like drag queens. So college is a completely different sphere than high school, and you can get up to fun stuff. One night also, Hannah just texted us and was like, hey friends, my friends from home are going to spend the night. Surprise! And of course we were totally down. Lauren was actually out of town, so it ended up working out because we had enough space in the dorm, but it was so random to get that text that's like, hey, guess who's coming?
Yeah, no, so my friends, one of them goes to school in DC, and the other one in like upstate New York, like pretty far off from us. And they literally texted me at like 4 p.m. I was eating some food, and they were like, hey Hannah, we're really bored. Can we just come to New York this weekend? And I was like, I guess so. So then when we tried to get them off the train, they like missed their stop, so we had to find them somewhere else. And then also, weird flex, but my friends are beautiful and super gorgeous. And this guy in my dorm, after they left, was like, hey, you know your friend, the one with the real long hair? I was like, yeah, what about her? And he just goes, do you think she wants to date me? And I was like, nah, she doesn't like dudes that much. And then he tried to convince her to like dudes specifically for him, and I was like, that's not how that works.
Not
But
at
it was
all.
like the most uncomfortable interaction I've ever had, and I immediately had to text the group chat that these friends are in and just be like, hi, I just got asked to convince someone not to be a lesbian. So
That's how college
Yeah,
done.
for him specifically though.
like only for him. Because he literally at one point lifted his shirt up and was like, even for this? And I was like, even for that. But yeah, so that's just kind of a summary of a lot of the memorable things that happened this year. I'm sure there's other things that happened that we're not mentioning that were super fun. But everyone's college experience is really different. And there's always just so many different random opportunities to have fun and do something kind of crazy. To stay up to date on new episodes and a look behind the scenes, follow us at BBNC Pod on all social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, even Pinterest. It's also a great place to contact us, let us know what you think, and give us topics you want to discuss. Finally, share our podcast with anyone you think may be interested. Thanks so much for listening. You're all shining stars.